After we spoke in Ayin Zayin about the reason or the Kabbalah, if you will, of Yichus, so in Ayin Ches, as the Tzadok, Pamim can happen, Gam Bonim Rishayim, that evil children, Efsher Sheyeh Nitzmach Eza Toiv La'av, they have some useful good for the father. So you have everybody's greatest fear in the world is to have a bad children. Rishayim. I'm not talking about just hard, I'm talking about Rishayim. So, Pamim, but sometimes, Gambonim Rishayim, Pamim is not all the time, Efsher could be, Sheyeh Nitzmach Eza Toiv La'av, this might be a good thing for the father involved. Inyan Avraham, just take a look at the cases of the Torah. Avraham, Sheyatza Mimenu Yishmael, U'bnei Keturah. Who could be a better guy than Avraham? And he had a son, Yishmael, who we're at war with, right? Bnei Keturah. Sheyetze Apsilos Al Yedeim. What's the reason for what good can there possibly be from these type of children? The answer is Sheyetze Hapsilos Al Yedeim. So this is in a way, it's a common common Kabbalistic concept, but it's a very particular thing that Reb Tzadok talks about a lot, and that is that there is. Let me just put it in my words for a minute, somewhere I could understand it. But there is this idea of a birur. A birur is like a distillation, if you will, of Adam Arishain, who did a chet and ingested this kind of tuma or klipa or sitra achra. You got to get it out of the system. So Chazal Bavli already say that 7 generations, 10 generations, according to Pirkei Avos, 10 generations to get it out of the system. Another 10 generations, and you had the Mabul, and then then the Mabul was a beer left with Noach. In other words, like you're sorting out that we should finally get to the time of Mashiach. That's the right type of people. So it's a little bit contrary to Western thinking, no? Okay. I'm not teaching Western thinking. I'm teaching Rav Tzadok. So Rav Tzadok says that we see that there was some type of a birur, Avraham, Sheyatza Mimenu Yishmael B'nei Keturah, Sheyetze Hapsilos Al Yedeim, because we see that what happened was there was a part of an Avraham which had a psolos to it, and that psolos had to be removed and directed elsewhere, like pruning a tree. It had to be taken to another place. And Avraham Avinu was very excited about Yishmael, actually. Lu Yishmael, Yichya Lefonecha. He was very excited about Yishmael. He didn't understand. He questioned Hashem. Why are you giving me Yitzchak? I have a son. He's good, but and also Yishmael. Interestingly, in Kabbalah literature, is considered the chesed. He took the chesed of Avraham. Yitzchak is Gvura. He took the chesed of Avraham, but the chesed manifested itself in chesed means expansion. Yeah, chesed means I'm willing to give to you. Chesed means expansion. So it also means taiva. Huya para adam. Para adam. What's a para adam? Don't think about what our teachers call this para adam. What's a para adam? A para adam is a lashon pri, like a pri. Anything that's a pri, pru or vu. Anything that's a pri is something which is extending outwards. That's what a pri means. Para adam means that he's not a contained person. This Yishmael, he's going out of his geder, yatsa megidrei. Every para adam is a negative thing. Pru is a positive thing. But every peiresh always refers to this getting out of the box. So it had to get out, but it got out in Yishmael. Avraham Avinu was excited about Yishmael, but it was always getting out of his gvul. I once heard that I don't remember from rumor that he was a rove kashos. He's a bow and arrow. So the idea of a bow and arrow is that you can get out of your rishus the furthest way. A gun, like you can get as far away from yourself as possible. Expansion. That's called all idea of expansion.
And that's a shvach to Abraham?
It was okay for Abraham. It was what had to happen. It came from a part of Abraham that needed to be refined. Well, we're not trying to be Meshabeach Abraham. We're saying that it was good.
So
Ishmael was good.
It was removed from Abraham, or it was left to expand itself?
Right. Hashem took, let the psolos expand itself and let the actual kibi Yitzchak, Yikara L'chazera, be be Yitzchak, like Kol Yitzchak. There was always this beer. The whole idea of the Avos was to create this birur, the Bria, and to get back to Yaakov Mitosai Shlema. It's about Yishmael. Yeah, but it's an important solus that's going to have a place in the whole unfolding of history.
So it's not actually
like Esau.
The goal of history will be to filter out.
No, the goal of the Jews. It's not the goal of history. I mean, that might be the goal of history when Mashiach comes or something, but what we're talking about is the goal of the chosen people. At the same time, there's going to be an Esau and there's going to be a Yishmael, and that goes down in history. But thank you for clarifying that. It's not the bearer of the world. It's the bearer of those that are going to get the Torah.
Was that completed like by Yaakov? Because after that we didn't see the children didn't go off.
We do see, but that was set up a Yesod. So that's the Avos. Ein Karen Avos, Halal Shleisha. By the way, if this offends you in any way, it offends me too. I'm in sales, not in management. I'm just trying to say what he's saying. Yeah.
So in the whole picture, they have parts. Right?
They have what?
In the whole picture, not the story of the chosen people. They say they're filtering out all these people, but still they have some kind of part involved.
Yeah, an important part. Important part in the Bria. It could be that even like Ad Hayom Hazeh, Yishmael is still creating a birur in Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. It's hard to look at I don't even know if the Palestinians and Hamas, I don't know if they're B'nai Yishmael at all. I'm just saying it as that's what they say. That's what they say. But it's hard to say in any way that that's tov. Yeah, tov hu la'av. Like, what could be tov about it? But we're gonna say about it. But how could it be tov? I mean, they're killing us. I mean, how could it be tov? But we don't. I think the final answer to the whole story is that we don't know what's tov and what's ra. We're here,
No, he's talking filtering them out.
From the Geza of Bnei Yisrael.
For the Jews, not for
right, only Jews. But then you filter them out, then they turn around and kill us. So what's the Esav kills us, the Holocaust. So what's the how do you work it out? Well, let's see what he says. Let's let him talk. Ela shebezeh shar sheyiske ha'av sheyufka Torah zaroi mehem. This is the point. In other words, that it's for the sake of the of, even though it's a very negative. Open your minds to this. Even though it's a very negative thing that's happening, very distasteful, very uncomfortable, dangerous thing that's happening. Nevertheless, the fact of the matter is that it's making my zera, my offspring, more pure. In other words, like weeding out. It's a weeding out process that the Avos went through. Shiyufka teres zaroi mehem. They're no longer considered the B'nai. It's very interesting. Like if I could just make a political mushal, but everybody's very, very excited. Meaning the Umos Ha'ilam are very excited about the title the Abraham Accords, because the Abraham Accords means, well, like Sof Kol Sof, we all came from Avraham Avinu, like this is what we have in common. It's the opposite of what we're learning here. The Abraham Accords might be something to celebrate, like everybody is connected with Avraham Avinu, but the fact of the matter is, Nikra Zara. In other words, we're not going to get too cushy with them either. K'moshe Amru, let's jump over. I'm sorry. K'moshe Nemar ba'Avram ki v'Yitzchak Yikare L'cha Zara, that we see with Abraham ki v'Yitzchak Yikare L'cha Zara, K'moshe Amar b'Aseres HaShvatim. And fast forward to the 10 lost tribes, what we call the 10 lost tribes. So Parakama Divamas Loi Zaza Misham, harsh Gemara, Loi Zaza Misham Ad Sha'asaum Kigoyim Gemurim. Or those that assimilated. These 10 tribes of Israel, those that were Nigla, even though we're saying that when Mashiach comes, B'Shavuvonim, Legvulam, and those, there will be those that will come back, but those that went too far and assimilated completely won't come back. They're going to come here. So what he's saying here is that the whole unfolding of history, everything we consider bad, intermarriage, They say just look. Somebody said to the Chazon Ish once that there's a lot of people leaving Israel, Jordan. So they're not leaving; they're being thrown out. What's partially, Taki haaretz oisa. It was a different way of looking at it. Now we love those Jews, and we go send shluchim to bring them back and all that, 100%. But Eretz Yisrael has a certain kedusha and a certain tolerance for kedusha, and it doesn't work for everybody. And that's what you find. But that's why you had a galus of the Asar Shvatim, and for that matter, that's why you had a galus of the Bayis Rishon and the Bayis Sheni. That's all those golias. So let's go further. Yadua Divrei Ramban. This is how the Ramban explains in the Toichacha of Peniesh B'chem Shirish Poyer Roish V'lano. Right, that there are things. I believe this can be taken on a personal basis. Also, there are things with us which can cause a lot of difficulty, but in a certain way, the Yisurim that we would go through is a cleansing process I have an example of this in the Torah, and then perhaps even in biology, which I'm not an expert in either one of those two things. But you see the whole idea of tsaras. I'm not sure. Every time we open up Parshas Tazria Metzora, like the first thing everybody says is, "This is not leprosy." That's what everybody says. It looks a lot like leprosy, actually. If that's true, then it's true. I don't know where's the makar that. This is not leprosy. Like, don't get it wrong before you start anything, because there's a spiritual illness, and it's not leprosy. I don't remember from the Gemara that it's not leprosy. All the Chachamim explained is that it's this is caused by an Aveira. Okay. It's caused by Averas. This is a spiritual illness. It could be the symptoms or physical symptoms, but it's a spiritual illness. I don't know any idea 100% where the makar of that. It might be a Gemara someplace. I just not remembering. But what's the makar that this is absolutely? Why do I say this? Because the Torah says, as you all know, the Torah says that a person is living their regular life, and then they see maybe a little white spot on their skin. This doesn't look good. And they watch it, and they go to a Kohen, and the Kohen puts him in bidud, and he's there in bidud, and it's growing, and the more it grows, the more tummy he becomes, and he's becoming more and more lavan, and it's spreading all over his body, maybe over his house, tzaras habayis, and spreading, and there's more and more bidud, and more tumah, because it comes from an Aveira, whatever this thing is, because it comes from an Aveira, until, as everybody knows, the Torah says, V'im hafach kulai lavan, but if the whole thing turns lavan, tarhu. Why should it be tar? So the Ramban says, why should it be tar? It should be tar because what's going on is you have some type of a poison within your system, be it physical or spiritual. I actually think it's physical, but you have some type of a poison in your system. And of course, Chazal say, Rashi says it's caused by chet, so it's caused by chet, motzi, shemra. We all know that. But what's happening is that when you start seeing it and you start recognizing it, you have tumah. But when it's hafach kulei lavan, when it completely comes out into the open, it gets out of the body, so you've exuded the entire poison, if you will, from the body, taharu. So that means that it's out of your system and you're tar. Says the Gemara on this, that ein ben David ba, that Mashiach can't come, won't come, ad she'hafach kol ha-medina leminus, minut, apocarsis. How is that an ideal situation for a messianic state, for a geula, for a peace? And the answer is we've got to get that out of our system too. So that's also getting out of our system. But the reason why I get the introduction that how do we know it's all spiritual, because I just happened to be reading this book about, which it's a very interesting book. I can bring it for show and tell next time. But it's an encyclopedia of herbs written by a doctor, a PhD. It's an encyclopedia of herbs, or really anything that grows from the ground, and also an MD, and like a big thick encyclopedia, and it goes through every herb and says how it's used in Chinese medicine, in Indian medicine, in American folk medicine, and in actual modern medicine, how some of these things are used. So, but they all have a different, they all have a different way of looking. For instance, the meridian system, so that doesn't show up on an X-ray. So therefore, if you're a Westerner, you don't even believe it exists. But all the bloodletting and all the kind of stuff that the Gemara certainly believed in it, because all the hakozas dam and all that all had to do with the meridian system. But what it talks a lot about in non-Western medicine, that's why I'm influenced by this, is that ultimately there is something in the body that has to get out, has to exude. So as opposed to trying to drown the symptoms, which is American medicine, what's happening is you're trying to find the poison, get it out. And it gives the ultimate example historically and scientifically is leprosy. And leprosy is a poison getting out of the body, like lakula alma. So I don't know why, so that makes sense, hafach kulei lavan tarhu. But li'inyanenu, it's this kind of a beer coming to human beings. It's a little bit more difficult to understand. But here you have the case of somebody who has a child who's a ben Russia. It might be good. There might be something good about it, something that's happening. Now let's go further and get to the fun stuff. Valzeh Omar l'chiskiyahu parakama de brachos, and this is a Gemara that everybody knows. The Gemara in Brachos Daf Yud Amud Aleph. So let's just remind ourselves of the story, the very, very important story, that Chizkiyahu HaMelech was a Melech Tzaddik. He was almost like being like Mashiach, Chizkiyahu HaMelech, the Melech of Melech Yisrael, and Yeshayahu, and he got sick. And the Gemara says, who's going to go visit who? Should the Navi, Yeshayahu was the Navi, should he visit the Melech? Should the Melech go visit Yeshayahu? Whatever, Yeshayahu, they became sick, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu solved the problem, and he became sick, and therefore Yeshayahu had a chiyuv to be Mevaker Choyle Chizkiyahu, the new chiyuv, and he came to him with his Biker Cholim. So here's the biggest Navi in Klal Yisrael, the biggest Melech in Klal Yisrael, and the great summit meeting between Chizkiyahu and Yeshayahu's opening line, according to the Tanakh, is, Hi Chizkiyahu, Melech, Meis V'al Tichya. Drop dead. The Gemara goes into be mefarish. Meis Ba'olam Hazeh V'al Tichya Lo Olam Haba. You're nothing. You're nothing here. You're nothing there. Tzaddik. So Chizkiyahu said to Yeshaya, Lama li kula hai. Thanks for the visit. It was imagined like the Gadol Ador, the Navi Ador. So he says, Mishum shalai asakta b'pirya v'rivya. You didn't, or into Isaac and Puravu, you didn't have children. He was single. He was a single. That was his birth control method. He stayed single, and he says, oh, okay. Chizkiyahu breathed a sigh of relief that the Navi cursed him. First he said, this is important, first Chizkiyahu said, Kol nevuascha. This is, you're not a Navi to tell me that I can't do tshuva. No such Navi. There's no such thing as losing hope. So he gave Yeshayahu a little bit musar back. You have no right to tell me this. Tell me to do tshuva. Strong, stark, right? Why are you saying it that way? Anyways, Chizkiyahu said to him that there's a reason why I never got married. And the reason I never got married is Mishum. He said, I saw in my Ruach HaKodesh, so here you have like a sort of Ruach HaKodesh and Nevuah, face off. He says, I saw in Ruach HaKodesh, Da'avali Banin Marin. I know who my children are going to be. I saw in Ruach HaKodesh. Who is this child? Menashe. Shahar Agus Yerushalayim Pel Peh. Killed everybody. Killed every Talmud Chacham he could find. Hated Torah. He instituted Avodah Zarah. How does this come from Chizkiyahu? And so he said, that's why I stayed single. And then Yeshayahu said his remarkable words, which we still repeat till today. He said, Bahadi kafshid rachmana lamalach. What are you taking the matter into your own hands? Deciding what you have a mitzvah to do. You have a mitzvah to have children, you have a mitzvah to have children. What are you, God? And Yeshayahu became further angry with him until Chizkiyahu, as the story says in the Gemara and the Tanakh, until Chizkiyahu said to Yeshayahu, okay, I'll be makabel from you, but I want to marry your daughter. So it's very similar, remember, to what we learned last week. That somebody came to Rav, except this is Chizkiyahu. Chizkiyahu Melech became the son-in-law of Yeshayahu. Agav, Chizkiyahu was right, and they together had Menashe. He was a grandson of Menashe was a son of Chizkiyahu, right, and a grandson of Yeshayahu. So the Harag El Peh, the Gemara says that when Menashe went to kill the Talmidei Chachamim, El Peh, Harag is Yerushalayim Peh El Peh, not just from the Tfishachad to the, but Peh El Peh means from the Navi. In other words, he killed his grandfather. He killed his grandfather. Peh was Yeshayahu. So how did Yeshayahu die? His grandson killed him in his tirade against Judaism. Such a hard part in history that Chizkiyahu foresaw. Chizkiyahu foresaw this. And on this, Yeshayahu said, this is none of your business. What you have a mitzvah to do, you do. It's an interesting response, by the way. I just want to add this piece. An interesting response. Okay, so let me marry your daughter. So, meaning, what was he saying? And he explains to him, Ulai b'schus adidi, b'schus adidach.
Right,
maybe in the schus between me and you, maybe we'll get somewhere over here. We won't get a Menashe. He was wrong. It didn't happen that way, but meaning he was still looking for a good child. Right, and still looking for a good child over here, and I'm not going to have a good child. Maybe Yeshayahu went along with the plan. Well, so comes Reb Tzadok. Well, that's what he was saying about Rav last week. But no, I think he said that this would be a good shidduch. Do you think of a better shidduch? I'm sure Rebbe shidduch. Hiskiyahu.
It's always in line with the Shatanim when they say, wonderful boy. It's great, I marry your daughter. So not my daughter.
Right, that's what we were learning last week. Like Rav said, Evan Ababas Yisrael. Right, so here makes sense, right? So if you're telling me that we just need to do mitzvahs, if that's what you're telling me, so the question is at this point, was Yeshaya, here's my question, was Yeshayahu HaNavi agreeing with the Ruach HaKodesh of Chizkiyahu? Or was he saying that God can change anything and it's none of your business? You know, have some betachan over here in HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Or was he saying that, okay, so we'll have a bad child? What was he saying?
Do the best you can.
Do a mitzvah. But in other words, when he said, okay, I want to marry your daughter, what was he agreeing to here?
There's a thing as a bad child. You don't know.
Exactly. So says Reb Tzadok. What? Chanoch Lanar Pidarko. So says the Reb Tzadok as follows. Spectacular. One more time. Alzel Amar Chizkiyahu Parakama de Brachas Bahadi Kavshe de Rachmana Lama Lach. Why are you taking Torah in your own hands? V'harei Menashe me'oisen she'elam chelak lo'elam haba. Taking it in my own hands, I'm creating a Hitler here. What do you mean taking it into my own hands? Hashem gave me Ruach HaKodesh, yes? So if I had Ruach HaKodesh, whatever that means exactly, and the Navi has even more, presumably. So more Yediyah of the future. Harei Menashe me'oisen she'elam chelak lo'elam haba. In Sanhedrin Tzaddik Amar Aleph. Mikol Makom Haya nevad chas v'sholom, says Reb Tzadok, but if Menashe would not have been born, Haya nevad chas v'sholom Mashiach ben David, we would never have gotten, there would have been an interruption in the Davidic line, and therefore there would not have been a Mashiach. V'chol hashalshelas hakedosha min ha'olam. Ilu loy noilad. There would have been a removal, a cutting of the line of David HaMelech, which went through Chizkiyahu. If he has no children, so that is going to be the last of the Davidic line of kings. Now, all the Malchei Yisrael in the Tanakh were zigzag. One was an avodah, one was good, one was bad, one was good. And why that is Pshita al Pi Kabbalah, that there was this side, there was that side, there's this side, there's the next side. It had to be. So it wasn't a line, a Davidic line of kings, and there were other Bnei David. It's not like, but this was the line that was chosen to be the kings of Israel. So Yeshayahu was saying that you would have interrupted the whole thing. So Menashe, and the Gemara, he might say it later also, the Gemara says later on there in Sanhedrin, the Darshei Rishumai Samaru, Yesh Lechelech Lo'elam Haba. Menashe was an extremely important person in the lineage of Klal Yisrael. Rav Ashi spoke about him in his yeshiva. He spoke about B'tzias HaPas. There's a lot to say about Menashe, what it has to do with B'tzias HaPas. But what's clear is the Darshei Rishumai said he does have a chelak in Olam Haba. Yesh Oimrim, because he did tshuva at the end. Pretty bad tshuva that he did, by the way. It was a shvachat tshuva. He said that he was put in so many yisurim, so much pain and so much suffering. He said, so he said, okay, if I'll believe in God if he helps me, if he cures me here. It was a pretty weak tshuva.
He did believe in it because he didn't say during my time.
So the Gemara says he didn't believe in hashgacha pratis. He obviously also believed that the Klal Yisrael, Bnei Yisrael, had to be like a tougher people, a little more muscular Jew. They spoke about here at the beginning of the early secular Zionists said we need a new kind of Jew, like a muscular Jew. So Avodah Zarah is much more, gaver, than worshiping Hashem the way we do. It's less idle, and so there became a culture of din and killing and a certain type of a malchus. But whatever it is, without Menashe, you wouldn't have had Yoshiyahu. And Adayom Hazeh, we have a Davidic line. I don't know, we know exactly who it is, but the line to Mashiach is there, and Menashe was a link in that chain, and did some good. I want a diuk. Bahadi, it's such an interesting lashon. Bahadi kafshi dirachmana lamalach. So what he meant to say is, why are you taking matters in your own hands? The mifkados alecha tasu, I think is lashon. Whatever you have a mitzvah to do, you should do. But what's this kafshi? Huh? Kavush, like pickle. Yeah, but whenever the malacha of kovesh, it's also the milchama, right? The idea of kovesh is you let's say you make a pickle, so the bacteria doesn't come out, and therefore it lasts for a long time. Jews were always good with pickling things because you never knew where we're going to run, and we had to take with. So we have a lot of herring going around, and pickles and schnapps and all kinds of things that don't go bad. But that's all called kushim. How it relates to Mohammed is interesting, but to be kovesh. But the idea is that you're insulating it in a way that I'm sure the chemical term, but you're insulating it in a way that stays inside. You're not allowing for the natural expansion that is meant to take place in the nature of the world. So with Chizkiyahu's Ruach HaKodesh, wasn't just like you're not doing a mitzvah. It was B'kadi Kavshid Rachmani. It was a kvisha that he's guarding him. He's guarding the line. So it's very, very interesting because all of our it's ironic. It's almost a puzzle because it goes back and forth. Because what we always want to do is protect our children, right? Protecting is a big part of being Haredi. Is to protect your children. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I mean, protecting your children is a good thing. Baharaya, when there's a siren, we tell them go into the mamad. We're all for it. Not letting children develop is not a good thing. So if you're protecting them ad kadei kach that they can't become who they are, so now we're creating a bunch of robots. So that's where the mechanech comes in, right? The mechanech comes in to understand how to keep somebody away from danger while at the same time letting them, but you don't want to do letting them develop. You don't want to do kvisha. You don't want to do kvisha. So I think that's the Bahadi Kavsha de Rahman and Lamalach. But what was? Let's just do a quick chazara here on the Chiddush of Reb Tzadok. The Chiddush of Reb Tzadok was that Bahadi Kavsha de Rahmana Lamalach doesn't mean just do a mitzvah and don't get involved in it. And what are you using Ruach HaKodesh to decide whether this mitzvah is for you or not for you? That's not what he was saying. He was saying, what are you seeing already? You're seeing that you're going to have a bad child? Okay. Gam Zetov. Who said that's a bad thing? It's uncomfortable. Nobody wants a son who's a Russia, but who said it's a bad thing? You have to do what you have to do. And Hashem is running the lineage program over here, the spiritual genetics. So he says, he has a raya to this, which is a raya which we should all think of. Umatzinu, we find, this is in the Haggadah, Vayikoid ha'am vayishtachavu. So Rashi says, Samchu al b'seres habanim, vayishma ha'am, vayikoid ha'am, they bowed down, vayikoid ha'am, they heard what Moshe Rabbeinu was saying, vayishtachavu. And they bowed down. It says Rashi al b'seres habanim, they heard that there's going to be a next generation. What did the next generation say? Ma avodah azay slachem. That's in the same parsha, the Ben Rasha of the Haggadah. So they had simcha. Here's the lashon of Rashi. Yikadam vayishtachvu parshas bay. Shishtachvu mipnei shesamchu al b'seiras habonim. They were excited, they were happy about the b'seiras habonim sheyu lahem. So they gave Haylah. I'm just reading the Rashi here. Shenemar v'haya ki yomer aleichem b'neichem ma avoda azois lachem. Because there's going to be children that are going to sit at the Seder, and they can say, "Well, you guys nuts, Meshuganas? What do you ma avoda azois lachem? What do we say to him? Hakei shina bafu kafar beikar. He's a kafar beikar. So what's the simcha over to b'seiras habonim? Yes? Sure. So the answer is that kafar beikar is part of the thing. It's part of the program. You know, it's hard to swallow, but nobody wants to get rid of all the bacteria from their body or any other biological level. There's got to be a balance. That's the balance that's necessary. Umiyu. However, the Medrash and the Tanchuma Truma, Mefarish Lahafech, says the opposite of what I'm saying, says Rav Tzadok, in all honesty. Or is he saying that it could be that Yeshayahu knew well that there's going to be a Menashe over here, and Chizkiyahu knew well, and they didn't give up on this nightmare of having a son Menashe. They knew this was true, and they went and they had a child anyway. So that's not that Hashem could do anything. He'll give us a good child. There's so many like even in the genetic world, it's so sometimes like don't do this, but okay, kach gozer Hashem. Like it's not so pasha. That requires a lot of das Torah. So what Reb Tzadok is saying is that bad is okay too. Bad is okay too. It's not what we're al hanar hazeh, Not that this is the child that I'm praying for, but okay, if that's what Hashem wants, and I'm a shliach for that, do it. So it comes out that what you think is bad, but that bad is part of the plan. Miu b'medrash meforish lahafech. The Tanchuma says it's tefillah Shlomo HaMelech, all of us shalom. Shem yivakesh ben v'hu yerosh lo yiten lo Hashem yisbarach. Here's the thing that when Beis Tefillah Yikarei L'chol Ha'amim, like everyone's going to come to the Beis HaMikdash to daven for their needs. I keep thinking of this pasuk when I see the U.S. ambassador standing by the Kosel saying Tilum. Beis Tefillah Yikarei L'chol Ha'amim. This is not this is the Nevuah. So Shlomo HaMelech said, learn from the psukim over here. The Shlomo HaMelech said that, listen, Hashem, I'm making such a powerful thing with this Beis HaMikdash. It's so powerful that people's tefillahs are going to be answered at this Beis HaMikdash. So do me a favor, and if somebody's davening for something which is bad for them, don't answer them. In fact, the Mishnah Berurah says that when you daven for something very, very strongly, davening to become Ashir or whatever it might be, your children. So you should always daven on the t'nai that it's good for me. So how could it be? Of course it's going to be good for me because the power of tefillah, this is Shlomo HaMelech saying the power of tefillah in the Beis HaMikdash is so strong that we can have all kinds of umglikim here. We could have all kinds of things that are unwanted results, undesired results. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm building this very, very powerful building, and you're putting your very, very powerful shechina in it, but don't listen to everybody. So he was talking about who not to listen to. For Tzadok, how could it be? Like if everything is good, everything is good. So whatever they're davening for is good. So what does it mean? That the power of tefillah supersedes the Ratzon Hashem? He actually remains shver. But the emphasis, if I may, I'd like to try to be miyashiv. This is not really a kasha. Everyone understands the question? No. The question is, if whoever I'm giving birth to is good, so why is Shlomo HaMelech telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu, don't listen to people if they're davening for children and they're going to be bad children? So the answer...
It started that bad children are good for the reminding the teenager.
For the what?
For the reminding point, for the one. Ishmael was good for them. Abraham was sort of sorted out things that, so that Yitzchak was better because everything bad was taken by Abraham. But the good was the Yitzchak, not the Abraham, or not the Ishmael.
No, but was it good that Yishmael was born? That was good.
Because Yitzchak was cleaner.
Yeah.
Better. But it doesn't say, it doesn't say that Ishmael was good. It was bad, but having Ishmael was good.
Cleansing.
Cleaner lineage of life. But it doesn't say that.
So why did Shlomo HaMelech say, don't answer me if it's a cleansing process?
Before it happens, it's the right Shtadu. So that when won't happen. Once it happens, it's already here. It's good. We deal with it.
Nobody does for the cleaning process. But good children.
Yeah, but this was the mussar that Yeshayahu gave Chizkiyahu. Like,
Yeah, so that was the mindset.
He had the Ruach HaKodesh. But he had it's going to happen.
right. Listen,
There's bad that isn't good.
the what?
There's bad that just isn't good. Shlomo was doubting for don't give
Like
us
what?
the bad.
Amalek, you mean? Something like that. Absolute bad.
Well, before the Kodesh, Israel also knew there had to be a Menashe. He had to know this.
Why?
So why would he have?
How do you know so much about Ruach HaKodesh? No, maybe he knew he's going to have a bad son, but didn't know, like I'm being Goyim Misa to the world. But what everybody's saying is true. I mean, I just want to say that the Pashut difference is that Hashem gives a mitzvah, have a child, you do the mitzvah, and you have a child, and then it's up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But now you're going almost, in a way over God's head and davening. Like that's the power of tefillah. It's almost like doing a procedure that's going to force Hashem, if you will, to give you a child, which really should not be in the world. That's what you're saying also, right? That's what everybody's saying. So it's not really a kasha. It's two different kinds of situations. One situation is where I have a mitzvah. What are you remaining single for? Go ahead and do it. And another one is where somebody is praying for children so hard, opposite of Chizkiyahu. He's praying for children so hard. So on this, Chavetz Chaim says, well, daven on a t'nai, because you don't want to do, maybe there's, let's say differently, maybe there's a reason you're not having children. That can also be. So be careful what you pray for.
It's not it's about the self, not about the next generation. It's about me, I should not start.
That's right.
It says here not that he prayed for a good child, but if there would not be a good child, then don't give me one. Isn't that again what we're talking about?
Chizkiyahu, you mean?
Shalom, it says, this midrash.
I saw the medrash. I think he has it here. Here's the lashon of the medrash. Avo Yisrael kishu mispalel. Avo Yisrael kishu mispalel lefanecha b'bayis hazeh. V'nasato leish kechol drachav asher tedas levavai. Ki ata yadato levatcha es levav ha'am. Im hu toiveya, that's what it says in Malachim Aleph. Im hu toiveya bonim v'ata yodea shiyu machis lefanecha al titen loy. Is that what you're saying? Im hu toiveya bonim. And you know Hashem, shiyu machisin lefanecha. They're going to be rishayim. Al titen loy, don't answer his tefillah. So therefore what? What are you saying?
Is that not against the story of Christianity?
No.
Why isn't it against the story? In other words, Chizkiyahu said, we're going to see, we're going to have a child that's a Rasha. Hashem doesn't want a child that's a Rasha. That's what Shlomo HaMelech said. So Al Titein Loi. So it's, but the answer to the whole story is that it's not a stira. Like it's one thing to daven for something. Like I said, you got to be careful what you pray for. davening is very, very strong. So it's always good to have in mind, let Hashem do what's good for me. That's a good. There's got to be some radical acceptance of Hashem also. Like, okay, you're taking care of me, right? Now there's a chiyuv to daven, not to change the teva, but to daven. Okay, I think that's the answer. Okay, stop here. Next week I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be away. Ezra Hashem.